what I do. I spend an hour and a half every day to read other blogs. An hour and a half. I get up early to read other blogs. Get help. You just find a friendly geek in your environment, and I mean, not all of us know how to set up a template in WordPress. It's not that simple if you want to design it yourself. Sometimes there are security issues with the blog platform you're using. You have to upgrade. You've been tampering with the code. You need a new design. You don't have to do everything yourself. Just find a friendly geek and ask them for help. Be pretty but findable. Pretty is, of course, your blog has to look nice, but don't overload it with graphic and flash files and all the stuff. It's the content that matters, not the design. Not the design. If you look at mine, it's just a basic blogger.com template, one of the most simple ones I could find. Others just once in a while change the masthead on top with another image, and that's about it. You have to give a good first impression, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you write about and how you do it, not the way it looks. And of course, search engine optimization, most of you know that. If you want to be very strong in certain keywords, make sure to use them in your titles, etc. You know the drill. And finally, experiment, find your style. This is Dan Gilmore. Most of you will know him because he's very active in the citizen journalism area. He wrote a book, We Media. If you haven't read it yet, do it. Because if you study journalism and are interested in blogs, you really have to do it. Listen to what Dan Gilmore has to say. He was at an event last year in Belgium, and he said on how to just start blogging is to just do it. Put it online before you think it's ready. Fix what's broken. Fail fast, repeat. So it's okay. I mean, most people who have been blogging for 5 years have had like 4 or 5 different, totally different versions, domains, nicknames, etc. before they finally found their voice, and that's okay. I mean, that's the cool thing about blogging. If you blog at a simple platform like I do, at Google's platform, you can change whatever you like. I started off as a simple link dump because there was a guy working at Yahoo. He doesn't work there anymore. He's called Jeremy Zadovny, and all he would do, just like Kotker, is just dump links every day. And I thought, wow, and then I found a right-click button, a Mozilla plugin that said blog this, and whoa, what does this do? And before I knew it, I was blogging. That's how I started. So, and then I changed the design and the concept and the style, I added images, so that's okay. And if it isn't breathing after a while, just kill it. And then, of course, you have to promote it. I'll come back to that. But it's not enough to just put the feed of your blog into Facebook, I think, or what you Twitter is automatically your Facebook status. Is there anyone who does that? What you Twitter is your Facebook status. I think that's one of the lamest things you can do. Is to automate it. Don't automate it. I mean, Facebook is different from Twitter and blogging. I mean, they're all connected. If you want to stand out and they use each other, they enforce each other. But please don't automate it. I mean, if I want to follow you on Twitter, I'll follow you on Twitter. And if I want to be friends on Facebook, I'm friends on Facebook. It's a different... I know he's saying... You're breaking my heart if you're looking like that.
I have friends who are on Facebook, but not on Twitter, on principle.
On principle?
Yes.
Because there's too much noise on Twitter, probably.
Because Twitter is preposterous.
Yeah, it is? Oh. Maybe you're following the wrong persons. Because I use Twitter to make this presentation. And I think 95% of the ideas came from my followers. So I didn't even invent this presentation. This was a tip from, an extra tip on the steps to fame, from someone who is, as a persona, not as a person, as a persona who's very famous in Flanders. She's a bit of a socialite, and Imke Dillon is not her real name. So her tip is find a nickname that sounds like a real name, disguise for a year, write in your old style, and play with all the tools. So this is how you can just experiment with things without, you know, later it ending up in your Google results for your real name. You don't have to use like a nickname. You can use a fake name, not this one, just to toy with things, to find out whether to use WordPress or 6apart or something else, whether to make videos or I don't know. So that's what she did. It's not always a good idea, but in her case, it worked. Well, Facebook is interesting because of the nicknames. Before Facebook, most big networks, except LinkedIn, of course, everyone would use nicknames, and you would be like Lineke365 and nobody would ever know it was you. And in Facebook, I saw that for the first time, people started to use a real name. And that's fascinating, because I've seen some people coming out of the closet without them wanting it, and being disclosed because they had been using a different name. They had social circles that did not know the existence of each other, and all this clashed on Facebook. So it's interesting from a sociological point of view, Facebook, because it's so personal and yet so public. You're publishing personal things. But on to my 10 tips. Tip number 1, and this is Robin Waters I talked to you about. This is the most important one, obviously. Is he said just as simple: write good blog posts. I mean, if you want to stand out as a blogger, make sure what you do is good. You have to have writing skills. There are a number of A-list bloggers in the Flemish-speaking part of Belgium who think that you should be allowed to write spelling mistakes in your blog post because it's all about spontaneity. I disagree. I'm a linguist. And I think you should at least use some kind of a spell check before you put anything online. It's a very small effort. I mean, Word, Office Word can help you a lot in that. But writing skills are important. You have to be able to tell a story, no matter how short it is. You have to be able to pick out the interesting things. Fresh, original, and conversational content. It's no use to be just an echo chamber of what everyone else is already writing. You have to add something and to start a conversation. Mixed media, with that I mean, it's not just text. You have to be able, I mean, every one of you has camera phones or a real camera. Use it. It's never been so easy to make pictures or little movies and to upload them somewhere for free and embed them in your blog. Lately also, because I speak a lot, I also embed my slide shares on the blog. I mean, just to make a bit of variation. Nothing more boring than a blog full of text and nothing else. And of course, actually having something to say. Also helps. You see, that's mostly, you think, of course, duh, having something to say. This is the biggest problem for most bloggers. They just cannot find out what to say because they want to stand out. So that's the hardest part. If you found what to say, then that's when you start blogging. But sounds simple, but it's not. Of course, Robin here says, write good blog posts. And then my question was, of course, but what is a good blog post? And then somebody, another French-speaking Belgian blogger, said, it's simple. A blog post that makes you kick and scream, I wish I had written this on my blog. So that's why you have to read so many other blogs to learn from the ones who are good at it. Secondly, frequency and patience. The screenshot is from one of the most well-known bloggers in Belgium. He's called Michel Vuilsteke. And if you look in the footer of his blog, the copyright notice says 1994 to 2009. I didn't even know they had blogs in 1994, but he's been doing it for years and years and years. And he usually posts about 5 times a day. You wonder when this man actually lives his life, because he's got 4 children, a daytime job, and lots of hobbies. One of his hobbies is to photograph insects in his garden, and he's very good at that. So my point is that if you look at A-list bloggers and you look at their history, most of them have been blogging for 4 years or more. It takes that long to actually gain momentum, to become, to become big enough to get attention. And I know internet is, I'm not sure if they say this in other language. I'm not even sure they say this in English. But there's a concept called dog's years. So that 1 year in a dog's life is like 7 years in a man's life. There's something similar going on with internet as a medium. It's a lot faster. It just reinvents itself every other year or so. So it appears that the speed of putting things to market on the internet is like 7 times faster than in the real world. And that's why you think, I want to get this going. I start a blog and I want to stand out from the crowd within a year or so. And even that year looks like so long. It's like talking to yourself for over a year without, my blog, I think I didn't even enable comments in the first 2 or 3 years. I was so ashamed that nobody ever took the effort to comment. And the day I just actually turned the comments on, it was one of the worst days. I was so embarrassed. It always said like 0 comments, 0 comments. And it did so for another year. It's normal. It's normal. It's called the 1% rule.